Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about the Create Jobs wizard here at LMN. My name is Joel, I'm part of the CSM team. All right, so let's have a look at my screen here, just making sure that we're sharing the right information, and we are. All right, so getting started here. So with LMN, you have your contacts list built out in your CRM. You may want to create your jobs in bulk so that you can start tracking certain things at once. If you want to have all of your jobs there at the same time, you'll notice the Create Jobs button at the top right corner. That's going to allow you to create multiple jobs off of multiple customers at the same time. And jobs are essentially what are going to help you track your time. That's what you're going to track active information in the field. The jobs are what's going to help you. Here, all we have is contacts. Jobs are going to be in LMN time. So where I'm going to start actually is to go to LMN time and show you guys a little bit about the setup first. And what I mean by that is the settings icon at the top right corner of your screen. Under jobs and job types, you can set up different types of jobs that you're going to be importing over in order to assign the type of work that you would do for that property. So examples that I have here, my install work, I have maybe my irrigation work versus just my lawn maintenance, my mowing and my pruning and so forth. My snow work and maybe fertilization will be tracked separately as well. In each, you get to choose what type of notes show up. So for fertilization, for example, we want task notes. We don't want weather comments. We don't want equipment comments. That's fine. So set that up accordingly. And we're going to show you how that comes into play a little later. Further than that, we have our default tasks here that I've set up that I can set up by job type. Okay, so the job types that we just did, fertilization, install, irrigation, what this basically means is when I'm bringing a job over from my contacts list and I'm creating, when I'm bringing a contact over from my contacts list or an estimate, and I bring it to LMN time as a job, at this point, these will automatically show up as tasks if I select this job site type. So if I select job site type irrigation, these tasks will automatically show up every time. And I'll have an option to say, no, I don't want to import it, or yes, I do. In this case, when I do bulk import, it'll automatically set all of them in there for you. So if you set up your default tasks in advance, when you do a bulk import and you say, I want the job site type to be irrigation, it's going to set these 4 irrigation tasks in all of the jobs at once. So let's see what that looks like. We're going to go over to our contacts tab in our CRM. And what I'm going to do here is I've tagged a few customers just for the demo here so we can get through a quick example. And what I would do is I would select all the customers that I want to use for the example. Here, we're going to do irrigation first. So let's say I want to create a bunch of irrigation jobs all at once off of these customers. I select my customers and hit the Create Jobs tool up here. From here, the first tab is to identify the job type. So, lawn maintenance, fertilization, we said irrigation. So let's do irrigation first. Here's where we're setting up the job name. So what do we want to use? The job name, so John and Mary Smith, or do we want to use the job site address like 184 Wilson Street? I think that makes a little bit more sense, but up to you to use what makes more sense with your industry or with your company. For us, we're going to go with the street address. Everybody knows how to get to a street address by just putting it into a system versus Mrs. Smith. I don't know where Mrs. Smith is. So I like going by job site address, and I like as well for the job suffix there. I like adding a little break that shows the address and the type of work we'll be doing. From there, we hit next. We identify the payroll types. Now, if you have certain payroll types that you need to identify that are different, you can go ahead and set those up here, or you can just say job type default. We'll leave it the way it is. Now for job groups, you can automatically import all those jobs into a certain group, and I would recommend doing that because now you'll have an easier time managing those jobs when you go in LMN time. So what I mean by that is here we did irrigation. Well, let's keep on doing that. So I have an irrigation job group here, and I'm going to say put all of those jobs under an irrigation job group. And I'll hit next. And there's the 4 default tasks that came up based on, again, the settings that I had in LMN time. They automatically show up with their cost codes. And I would take these 6 customers here and hit create jobs. And I'm going to create those 6 jobs identical in LMN time, ready to be tracked, ready to be scheduled. Now you'll notice the pop-up says we created 7 jobs, but I only have 6 contacts. So that means one of my contacts here has 2 different properties. So technically what happens is my one contact has 2 properties, therefore 7 instead of 6 jobs were created. Okay, so let's go have a look at what that means. I'm going to head over to LMN time here, and I'm going to go to my job list. And from my job list, I'm going to use the drop downs at the top, and I'm going to say, show me just my irrigation jobs that we've just imported. There's the 7 jobs. And you'll notice for the same customer, 2 for the same customer, but they have different job sites. All right, so keep that in mind that when you're using the job wizard, it's not creating 1 per customer, it'll create 1 per job site. All right, so keep that in mind. And here's the whole setup for my irrigation. If I go in to one of those irrigation jobs, for example, we'll go have a look at the 4 tasks that we've set up to be tracked by hour, exactly like we had said in the settings. It would just be a matter of setting up your services and your materials at this point, okay? And how easy is that? No problem, let's show you. We'll go back to our jobs list, make sure we're looking at our job group. We're gonna grab all of the jobs and we'll click add to jobs, and you can add services, materials, rates, or even extra tasks if you forgot to add one. You could also do that, and that'll be in bulk. So quick example here, let's add services in bulk. For my irrigation, we have our startup, our inspections, our repairs, and winterization. Well, now all of these jobs have now been set up with not just the 4 tasks, but the 4 services to track what's been happening or what's going on those properties. At that point, if they're billable, you can go ahead and include that, include the rates per property, and then it's just a matter of scheduling it or even activating the invoice. All right, so keep in mind, you need to activate invoicing if you want to track this job for invoicing, all right, for billing. This job is ready to be put on the calendar. Okay, let's go through another quick example here with the same users, or sorry, the same customers, I should say. And what we'll do is we'll select all of the users or all of the customers. We hit the create jobs again. Instead of install, let's go with lawn maintenance. There's a little bit more there that we can play with, and we can kind of show you why you would want to create those jobs in bulk when it comes that time of season. So let's hit lawn maintenance. Want to go by the address, put a little break between the 2, and hit next. Payroll will leave the way it is. We'll use those job site defaults. For my group, again, now it's no longer irrigation, it's lawn maintenance. So I'm going to put them in my lawn maintenance group. And for my task, all right, spring cleanup, mowing, fall cleanup. Hey, you know what? Maybe I forgot to add something. That's fine. You can hit plus new, and we'll go ahead and we'll enter in what we forgot. So maybe we forgot to track bed maintenance here. There we go. Bed maintenance is going to go under, let's say, grounds maintenance as well. And then let's enter some visits. All right, so this will make a little bit more sense here. With irrigation, you start it once, you shut it off once. The inspections, I mean, it may happen once, it may happen 5 times. It depends on the year. But for your mowing contracts, chances are you've already have your customer's approval on a certain amount of visits. So you can go ahead and set these up in bulk with your customers as you're building it. So for a quick example here, let's go through mowing for 26 visits. And bed maintenance, let's do 5 visits, all right? And let's hit create jobs. So again, what ends up happening is we'll create 7 jobs because we have 6 customers, but 7 properties. One of those customers have 2 properties. And there's the 7 jobs created. Here's our customer with 2 properties. Okay, so now that we've created that, now that we have our jobs created for all of these customers here, under our lawn maintenance, let's go have a look at that group here. All right, so there's all of our properties for lawn maintenance. Let's go through a typical day. What would you do after that? After you have all of your jobs ready and set up, maybe we're gonna go through all of them and we're gonna add our services in bulk that says, when we do lawn maintenance, I wanna track mowing, I wanna track spring cleanup, fall cleanup, pruning, mulch, grub control. We also wanna make sure that our bed complete is tracked, our yard waste. Maybe we're happy with those services. Let's add up to all those jobs in bulk. Now we have the estimated visits, but we don't have the estimated hours. That's one thing that will not come in bulk. And the reason for that, every property is a different size. Okay, so you're gonna wanna come in here and identify those hours after you've created those jobs and you've added your services. If you go into spring cleanup, it shows me that we have the 1 visit. If I go into my mowing that we had said 26 visits, it shows me the 26 visits. But what I gotta do next is say, well, how long those visits might take. The reason for that, again, is while scheduling, our system needs to understand how long to schedule for, how many hours to give in a day, or how many jobs fit in a day, depending on the size of the property, again, and depending on how much time it may take. So let's go in there and identify some hours. All right, so spring cleanup, let's just say our spring cleanup takes 6 hours over 1 visit. Fall cleanup, let's do a 6 hours over 1 visit. Our bed maintenance, let's do bed maintenance, 2.5 visits, 2.5 hours, my apologies. So what we're saying here is estimated hours, or estimated man hours is the way that we like to look at it. And what that means basically is if one person were to show up on the property, how long would it take that person to do this work for the entirety of the contract? All right, and our system's gonna say, well, let's take those hours, let's split it by the amount of visits you said you wanted, and it's gonna be about half an hour per visit then. All right, so again, estimated total man hours and not how many hours per visit and not per crew if it were just 1 person. That's gonna help our system when it schedules out, whether 2 people show up or it ends up being a 5-person crew. Our system's gonna know how to adjust because it's looking per person and not per crew size. So whether there's 2 or 3 people that show up, it'll adjust accordingly. So you enter your hours. Let's do our mowing as well. 26, let's do 52. All right, so we have our hours set up and that's gonna help us with scheduling, and I'm gonna show you guys that right now. All right, we have our services in there. We have our tasks. Let's go ahead and activate invoicing because we know we're gonna have to charge this customer. We wanna track it. And let's go ahead and schedule this visit. All right, we're gonna schedule the entire property. It's a recurring job, ground maintenance. And what we're gonna look at here will be our lawn maintenance template that I've created here that shows our mowing, our spring cleanup, our fall cleanup, and our beds. Let's go ahead and schedule the entire thing at once. All right, so now I'm just selecting the tasks to apply hours to. We're gonna go to bed maintenance and hit next. And there's our visits. Technically right now, if we hit finish, if we go ahead and select our weekday and we hit finish, we are basically scheduling, close to 20 jobs here, 21 jobs on the calendar for this property. All right, so 21 visits, I should say. And the reason why this one went down to 15 instead of the 26 that we had planned, it's because, well, this started on March 30th and we are now looking at June 15th today. So it's taking into account, well, today moving forward until October 31st, it's fitting an extra 15 visits rather than the 26 expected. But if I go ahead and say finish, we've just scheduled that entire job for the entire year. There's the 21 visits. That job's been completely considered now for the year. All right. Alternatively, we can go to bulk schedule which is what I think would be your best bet. If you've already bulk imported your jobs, they're all set up the same. We can go ahead and just take that job group, the lawn maintenance. You want to schedule a certain service? Sure, let's get all of our mowing done. There they are on the calendar. Now one's in blue, the one that we just put through together. But we're going to go ahead and say, all right, well, let's select all the other ones and include them as well. And we'll hit schedule. For the task, it's mowing. And now notice all the hours are set to 0. That's because, again, I didn't go back and assign all the hours. So you'll notice how it won't let me schedule until I assign some hours. I still can't schedule until I assign some hours to those properties. So that's why it's important to go through your job list, make sure you look at all the tasks and you assign hours so that when you come through and you schedule, it'll automate everything for you. Alternatively, if you're not quite sure about all the sizing, the property sizes, you just want to get the schedule on the board, it's completely fine to go ahead and set hours automatically and say, you know what, I believe it's about 1 hour per property. You hit save, and now you're able to schedule. All right, so you'll need those man hours estimated in order to put it on the calendar. But just to show you, that's simple to go ahead and have everything jumped on the calendar and have 90 visits across those 7 job sites, or the 6 job sites, since we already had the 1 considered. So the 6 remaining job sites, we've just scheduled 90 visits in the few minutes that we had on this webinar. So just to show you again the power of using the Create Jobs Wizard, kind of in a nutshell, this is the overview of how to take advantage of your Create Jobs Wizard so that you can get your jobs into LMN time and then push to a calendar scheduled across your visits very fast so you can get your crews clocking their jobs in the field. So that wraps it up for today, everyone. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And we do have an open kind of a question section. So if you do have any questions, do feel free to go on the chat and the question box and ask your questions. Keep in mind as well that we do have the forms library in LMN estimating. So that form library includes about 700, 800 different articles that we used to use as TBG back in the day to operate our business. Anything from financial forms, administrative system forms, legal forms, things that you can go through to set up your own forms. So feel free to have a look. You have access. Further to that, stay connected with our LMN users. We have 2 fantastic groups, user groups, Facebook and on LinkedIn. So feel free to join those up. You're able to, on that front, chat with other LMN users, get some advice, get some tips and tricks from other people that are using LMN to run their business. It's a great place to stay connected. Okay, we have a quick question here. How can you delete task in bulk if you made a mistake? So the one thing with the task is you can add tasks in bulk, but you won't be able to delete those tasks in bulk. And the reason for that is the tasks are open field. And also once there's something tracked to that task, the system locks it because now there's history on that task. So LMN will not allow you to delete tasks in bulk. You'll have to go individually. However, you are definitely able to add those in bulk. So you want to make sure that when you're adding them in bulk that you make sure that you're selecting the right jobs, check your spelling, of course, and again, make sure that you're selecting the right properties that you're adding the tasks to, because again, you won't be able to go back and delete in bulk. We want to make sure that you're careful with that move. It's a great question, thank you. Now, remember guys, there's multiple ways for us to get assistance or for you guys to get assistance from us here at LMN. Plenty of support. LMN Academy with the online training, free software, free use. I mean, log in, learn everything that you can. It's your best friend when it comes to learning LMN. On that note, keep in mind as well that we've extended a 1-hour virtual academy that happens every day, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time. We're looking at Chris offering about an hour's compacted view of LMN Academy day over day. Some great content, and again, it's virtual. So again, go ahead and sign up. If you can't make it, we're still going to send you the recording via email. So please sign up. There's a lot of great information being shared on there. Remember your LMN one-on-ones. LMN workshops, so happening a few times a day, or I should say a few times a week. We have workshops being offered. Have a look. Industry professionals are sharing their, their tips, their tricks. We have LMN webinars as well that can help you out. Those webinars, exactly what I'm doing right now, they're free as well. Have a look. We're offering multiple a week. And again, different topics, different topics week over week. So make sure to sign up again. And if you want to see any past webinars that have happened, they're all also available in LMN Academy. So another great incentive to join up. So if you guys have any other questions, now would be the time. Otherwise, this will wrap up today's session on the Create Jobs Wizard. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and we'll catch you next time.